What is the big secret behind why I'm able to maintain a ROAS like this over a 30-day period, where the only thing that happens if you now check it in the last 14 days to now when you check it when I'm recording this video or within this month alone, it reaches over a 7x ROAS. What is the main reason why an account like this, which is spending a lot of money, about $5,000 to $10,000 a month, and is able to get over a 7x ROAS, in this case a 10x ROAS, consistently month in and month out? Or what is the main reason why an account like this over the all-time period for over 1 year with Google Ads alone does over $500,000 in sales? What is the big secret behind all of this success? And let me tell you something very interesting. These 3 accounts that I just showed you, they're only a part of the whole. There's a whole bunch of other accounts ranging with ROASs from 5x, 10x, all the way up to 20x that I've been able to kind of achieve over a period of time. Now, keep in mind, ROAS is one of the juiciest metrics, which causes so many e-commerce store owners to move their e-commerce brands from using Facebook ads 100% of the time or TikTok ads 100% of the time to then fully doing Google ads. But why are majority of the e-commerce store owners, and by the way, you might be one of these individuals, don't worry though, it's gonna change very shortly, why are these individuals not able to achieve similar results with their e-commerce brands? And by the way, all of these e-commerce brands that have achieved these successes are not the same niches or industries. They're completely different from each other, selling a wide variety of different products. A lot of these are also my e-commerce clients under my Google Ads agency, Your Marketing, which if you're currently doing $30,000 or more per month in revenue, you need just a little bit of extra help scaling to the next level with Google Ads. Go on to my website at yourmarketing.com and book a free call with me to see how we can possibly make it happen. But I'm gonna divide this video into the different topics which help me consistently do a 7x ROAS on average and above with multiple different niches. First, let's kind of start talking about exactly what makes this thing possible. So it really does have to do with the mindset, and me personally, I've been there where I used to focus only on revenue numbers. I used to try to get as high of the revenue amount as possible, but the reality behind the ROAS really did not kind of make up for all of the revenue that we were getting. So as a result, a lot of the times what I would find myself within is these potholes. So for example, if I go on over to my analytics for one of my main e-commerce brands, look at last 2 years, we can see there were some months where it was very big revenue, and don't get me wrong, it was a lot of profit too, but during those months, some of them at least, the profits would start to dwindle down as my ego started to kick in, as my mindset started towards getting these bigger and bigger revenue numbers. Because I mean, it does kind of make you feel good to see 1.7 million on the sales dashboard right here, or maybe an individual month doing $142,000. But when the ROAS does not back it up, that's when real trouble begins. And this really stems out of a mindset problem. So during this time period when I was doing this mistake, I was really focused on, again, getting that ego boost, getting that big revenue number, and not fully focusing on ROAS. I mean, it was in the back of my head, but I didn't fully attention as much as I should have to the ROAS metric. And as a result, I ended up being barely profitable at the end with 10% net profits, which by the way, isn't really a lot. In addition, I would get a lot of extra work because doing $142,000, doing maybe around $172,000 in a single month also meant there were a lot of orders to fulfill. There were a lot of customers asking for refund. There were a lot of customers asking for assistance via emails, calling in, all of that stuff, which would take a very big toll on our customer service teams. As a result, all of my team members would basically be unsatisfied because there was way too much work, not enough profits, and it didn't make sense to do all of this for 10% net margins. And this ultimately led me into a brand, this specific brand, which was a brand I felt like I could not scale any further because I was always limited by the number of profit I could get. At the end of the day, a lot of the profit would go back into this business, which again, I wanted to do, but at the same time, I also wanted to get profits in my bank account. The main reason why we start our e-commerce brands in the first place. So this change in my profits really required that I change my focus. And that's what happened after 2021, early 2022, when basically I put all of my attention into just getting profitable. That's when these results of 6x, 7x, 10x ROAS really started to come in. So basically a matter of consistent action that I had to take once I made that mindset shift. So what exactly happened before this shift and then after the shift? Why was I able to then scale consistently over a period of time. So in essence, what it started off with was me writing down every single expense that I had within the business. Now you might be thinking, that does not have to do anything with Google Ads. Well, it actually does, because actually noting down what most of these expenses were, I was able to cut back on these expenses, and this included a lot of the Google Ads campaigns which I thought were working, but when doing a further analysis, actually ended up being the most unprofitable, actually ended up being those that were driving down my overall return on ad spend. So as you can see right here, that would be the time periods when bad campaigns essentially ran for a bit too long, and that's when they started pulling down this entire ROAS. There was a lot of that going on essentially with a lot of the campaigns and a lot of the accounts I was handling. So I had to kind of go deep into it, see what the overall costs were along with my Google Ads, the other costs, and try to diminish them completely for all the unnecessary expenses. But this also kind of led me into understanding why some of my advertisements, which were doing well at some point in time, why I ended up having to shut them off, like these ones for example, which you can see right here have spent the most amount of money, or maybe even within this campaign right here, if we just change this to all time, the campaigns that we used to run during that time, why I ended up having to shut off campaigns like these ones or remove campaigns like these ones, even though at any given time, at that time specifically, they were profitable. Well, the thing is, Google's algorithm changes consistently. It kind of has to deal with a new influx of new market changes, maybe new customers searching for a given product, maybe new competitors entering the market, and all sorts of stuff it has to deal with. So that leads into these different things happening in the back end that we're not aware of, and as a result, they start draining out our return on ad spend. So I really had to kind of sit down during that time period when my ROAS was not at a 7x or more than a 7x, and really understand what makes a Google Ads campaign work, what makes the products work. And I kind of broke it down into separate things. So first things first, choosing a very high quality image that stands out from the rest. For example, if we kind of search up my legendary example of 3D printers, we're going to use this as an example here, but choosing an image which stands out of the crowd. So for example, with 3D printers, it might just be this product's image alone. And again, this product, it doesn't really make sense to use this as an example because this is the orange color, but let's say this is how it's supposed to be. So choosing a product image which makes it stand out, obviously this orange color 3D printer stands out significantly amongst these other black and white printers, but also using just a generic image that's much different than what the other people are doing. So for example, these are all white background, so you come in with a real lifestyle image. What happens when you do this is your CTR starts to go up significantly. So essentially, you're paying less to get that same customer on your website as you would have earlier when your CTR was low. So this naturally starts to drive down your ad costs. And obviously, in order to achieve that 7x ROAS and above, I had to drive down my advertising expenses. So starting with the images was one of the first things I did because I knew image and CTR play a big role in this. Next, it was more about the proper search engine optimization techniques, the SEO techniques I needed to use in order to, again, help the Google Ads algorithm. Because when I help the Google Ads algorithm, it costs the Google Ads algorithm less money to go out and find the right kind of audience member for me, because I'm doing half of the heavy lifting. The Google algorithm doesn't necessarily have to do too much. So what happens is the Google's algorithm is able to make those decisions much more quickly in terms of who the right person is that should see my ad, and then they're able to get that right buying intent audience member onto my website so they can purchase. So obviously that's going to drive down the overall cost. So that really made me understand, kind of led me onto this path of making these big optimizations on the product level side of things in order to just change the game when it came to my overall ROAS. Because I did see my ROAS used to fluctuate up and down during this time period, but on average, it used to be at 7x at any given period of time. Again, it was because I was making these heavy changes in the back end when it came to optimizing the products. But in addition, I didn't just stop there. I also kind of involved my back end a bit more. I was trying to increase my conversion rates as much as possible. I was improving my landing pages. I was trying to basically improve whatever I could. Also my remarketing flows with email flows, SMS, all of that good stuff. Because what I started to understand is, if, for example, a customer comes through Google, they go through all of these things, but they don't end up purchasing, and the email flow, SMS flow, whatever that flow might be in the back end actually ends up getting that customer back, the sale gets attributed to Google Ads partially. And that's a very good thing because that makes Google's algorithm smarter. It makes Google's algorithm understand that given type of customer with that demographic, with those interests, whatever interests or whatever things that given customer was associated with, they are only associated with the partial buyers, meaning that kind of audience doesn't necessarily purchase on the first go. They don't purchase right when they see the ad. They might need a little bit of extra ad awareness before they actually come in and take the action. So that data gets submitted to Google's back end, which is again a very good thing. It makes the algorithm 100 times more smarter. I realized that, which is why I started spending more and more time in the back end and less time kind of playing around with these colorful charts or less time clicking around different buttons in my campaigns. Because I know one of the biggest things e-commerce store owners want to do is they want to try this different strategy or try this different tactic, which is going to give them that 10x ROAS or that 100x ROAS overnight, which unfortunately doesn't happen. It's a collective approach with different things kind of working towards that 10x, 100x ROAS. But again, once I was starting to make the algorithm smarter, this kind of led me on to launching the right kind of campaign strategies. Because again, campaign strategies are important. Don't get me wrong. It's not the only thing that you should be focusing on. And what I focused on to get that 7x ROAS, what I focused on in terms of campaign strategies is proper product segmentation. So segmenting by niches. So for example, if you look within my products right here within my campaigns, all of these are segmented in some way, shape, or form. I segmented either by the niche, I segmented either by the selling price, or either by the winner's campaign or the loser's campaign. So whatever it was segmented properly. In addition, I was taking every product through a different phase. So there was the testing phase, there was a profitability phase, and there was a scaling phase. No product would just sit inside one given campaign forever and just get tested there, just go through the profitability phase there, and also go through the scaling phase there. It just doesn't make sense to do that when you have thousands and thousands of SKUs within your website. So you gotta make sure you have different phases within your campaigns. But this also brings me to the last point, which is actually scaling real winners. So this is one thing a lot of e-commerce store owners get stuck on, and that is they fail to realize what a real winning product is and what a real losing product is. And as a result, they kind of go after those lukewarm products, which aren't really big winners. What you gotta do is understand what a real winner is. I've made a lot of videos on this where it talks about how to identify those winners. But once I got a hang of things with one given product, I would just repeat it with product after product after product, because at the end of the day, Google Ads is a collective approach. You can't necessarily find the same kind of results I did just trying to sell one product. There has to be an influx of different products, which of course have keyword search volume, because if nobody is searching for it, it's just not gonna sell, period. But again, kind of repeating these steps over and over again, it started to increase the ROAS because I would find winners ranging from small winners like bronze leveled winners where they do low 5 figures to medium sized to heavy 6-figure winners. And applying these techniques, it would have multiple different winning products just running all at the same time, making my brand also a winning brand that was scalable and profitable month after month, just like these results right here. But again, it does take a bit of time. It does take a bit of patience and work before you're able to find products like these, before you're able to grow your brand to a level like this. But if you need just a little bit of extra help scaling your e-commerce brand to the next level with Google Ads, and you're already doing $30,000 or more per month in revenue, go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and book a free call with me to see how we can possibly work together and make that happen. But if you found any type of value in this video, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and watch any of these 2 videos right in front of my face that might help you with Google Ads, and I will see you in my next video.